Welcome. Today, we're going to deconstruct a really powerful framework for getting to a state of profound mental stillness and focus. But let's be really clear about something. This is not about willpower. Not at all. It's about understanding and, more importantly, managing your own biological systems. So let's dive right into the biological reset protocol. This right here, this is the core philosophy. And it's a total game changer. You see, instead of fighting this exhausting and, let's be honest, often pointless war against your own nature, the goal here is to use its own rules to achieve mastery. Think of it like a sailor who doesn't fight the wind, but uses its power to go exactly where they want. This one idea is the key to everything we're about to cover. So where do we start? Well, with the foundation, the body itself. The big idea behind the protocol is that many of our most distracting thoughts, especially the sexual ones, aren't just random chaos. Nope. They are predictable signals from your biology, and they operate on a clear, hidden cycle. It's kind of like the tide coming in and out. And this is the first huge mindset shift you have to make. You are not a victim of some random, unpredictable urge. You are the manager of a predictable system. Just reframing it like that takes the whole experience out of this realm of emotional obsession and puts it right where it belongs in a logical, observable pattern that you can actually work with. Okay, so how does this system actually work? Let's trace the cycle. It all begins with a release. Now, immediately after that, your brain triggers a pretty significant chemical shift. Most importantly, a spike in a hormone called prolactin. Now, what's so interesting about prolactin? Well, it acts as a powerful suppressant of dopamine. And as you probably know, dopamine is the neurotransmitter of seeking and wanting. So when it's suppressed, your mind gets quiet. This creates what the protocol calls the window of stillness, which lasts until that biological pressure inevitably starts to rebuild. And this window of stillness? It's remarkably predictable. We're talking about a window of somewhere between 48 and 72 hours. Now, this isn't just downtime. This is a strategic time frame where you are literally liberated from cravings. It's a golden opportunity for deep, uninterrupted work and just profound mental clarity that you can actually plan for and leverage. All right, so understanding the machine is one thing, but operating it, that's a whole other ballgame. To really hack the system, you need a clear ethical framework. And you might be asking, why? Well, it's to avoid what the source material calls the prostitution of the mind. That is, trading your most valuable asset, your focused attention, for cheap dopamine hits from external media, which just fragments your focus into a million pieces. So the protocol proposes two parallel paths, but they're both built on the exact same principle: integrity. In a married context, the spouse becomes the exclusive focal point for a quick 10-minute system reset. For an unmarried person, the framework suggests using a mental placeholder of a future spouse. This actually rehearses loyalty and protects the mind from that constant search for novelty, while still allowing for that necessary biological reset. For both, the core goal is the same: keep the mind's focus internal and whole. And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the difference between function and dysfunction. Think of the reset as a simple maintenance task, right? It's like clearing your computer's cache to keep it running fast. But on the other hand, hours spent searching for external novelty, well, that isn't maintenance. That's like downloading malware, a dopamine-chasing loop that destabilizes the whole system. So if that's the functional path, what happens when this system is mismanaged? Well, according to the source, the number one failure point is the inability to handle boredom. That feeling of discomfort is what leads directly to a destructive loop of hyperstimulation and, you guessed it, a ton of internal friction. And this mismanagement directly triggers a very well-documented phenomenon called the Coolidge effect. See, when the brain is constantly fed new and novel stimuli just to escape boredom, it gets desensitized. It starts to require more and more extreme inputs to get that same chemical reward. This is the very engine of that destructive loop, and the protocol identifies it as the neurological root of both pornography addiction and adultery. And this table right here just visualizes that breakdown perfectly. Look at the mismanaged path. It starts with boredom and spirals through a novelty search that ends in exhaustion and addiction. But the managed path, it begins by simply identifying a biological signal. It uses a quick ethical reset to open up that 2 to 3 day window of stillness, which directly enables deep, focused work. One path creates chaos, the other cultivates order. It's that simple. So what about just fighting the urge? Just white-knuckling it? The protocol argues this creates a massive amount of internal conflict. Think of your brain's processing power like mental RAM. Running a constant background process of resist, 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 it's incredibly draining. It's like having 50 browser tabs open that you can never close. But acknowledging the signal and addressing it efficiently closes that loop and frees up all that RAM for what actually matters.
Now, what's so powerful about all of this is that this reset concept isn't some niche life hack. It's a fundamental principle of how our bodies work. We can call it the universal law of satiety. And the governing rule is incredibly simple. When a biological need is met, the craving for it stops. Period.
And this is what puts you back in the driver's seat. Let's look at two really powerful examples. First, a body that is physically full of high-fiber food is biologically satiated. That little psychological whisper for sugar, it has no real power. The body just isn't asking for it. And the same thing goes for exercise. It's not punishment, it's functional exhaustion. It satisfies the body's need for movement so the mind can finally be still.
Okay, so we've covered the theory, the why. Now let's get to the how. We can actually distill this entire system down into a practical 4-step protocol that you can start applying immediately to get a conquered, focused mind.
Here it is, the complete protocol. Step 1, identify the biological signal when it arrives. Recognize it as the flood. Step 2, execute your ethical, efficient 10-minute reset. That's the drain. Step 3, proactively plan to capitalize on the 48 to 72-hour window that follows for your most important projects. This is the clarity. And finally, step 4, maintain overall physical and nutritional satiety through good diet and exercise. This acts as the shield, reducing all that background noise and preventing unnecessary triggers in the first place. And this really brings us to the final and most important question. This protocol, it's not just about managing a distraction. It's about unlocking your potential by reframing your relationship with your body from an adversary into an ally. So ask yourself, what could you truly build, create, or solve if all the energy you currently spend on internal conflict was suddenly yours to command?